You guys want to move up?
Thank you. I just want to thank everybody from the media who's come around today, and most importantly, thank you for helping us get the word out to Virginians over the course of the last week with our declaration of emergency with the storm coming. We knew that this was going to be a rough one, and you helped us get the word out. Thank you. The preparations were extensive. And I'm just so proud of the team's efforts to get prepared for this, to get resources in place so that we could respond. There are still issues in the region that we are facing, although we think we have addressed the loss of life risk. There's still a few reports of folks that are isolated, and we're getting to them. But most importantly, we are so focused on getting the power restored, communications back up and running, people in safe, dry, warm places where they can get a hot meal, so our shelters are up and running, and then most importantly also getting them their medications. We have had a lot of folks that needed some support from our health department to make sure that they had what they needed. There are lots of folks who needed access to oxygen tanks and all of those really critical life-saving elements, and the teams have done a really good job in making sure that Virginians get what they need. We're worried about the weather. It's raining again, and we just want to make sure that people are in dry, safe places. Road crews have been absolutely phenomenal getting the roads cleared. Although there are still a lot of roads that we've got debris on, we're getting the debris off. We of course have a lot of damage to the roads, and some of the main thoroughfares through many of these counties have been damaged. The VDOT team has been unbelievable in getting to work immediately. We were rebuilding very important roads literally over the weekend because they're so critical. Bridge outages are really challenging. Many times it is a 30 to 60 minute detour when the bridge is out, and that causes us grave concerns with regards to life-saving access and emergency response. The VDOT teams are working hard to assess those bridges and to make sure that we've got a really good understanding of what's safe and what isn't. We are not going to be cavalier here. We're going to make sure that people are safe. I'm incredibly appreciative of the rapid response and the cooperation from the federal team at FEMA. I've been on the phone over the weekends with the senior FEMA administrator. The team has been deployed. We had our declaration of emergency processed in an expedited way over the weekend and was finalized yesterday. We're adding more jurisdictions to that over the course of the morning. I would expect that 13 more counties and 5 more cities are added to this first declaration of emergency. And now we are expediting the declaration for major disaster relief today. And again, I just want to thank our partners at FEMA for advancing resources before these were even made yesterday. And then finally, the collaboration across state agencies, I believe, has been unparalleled. And I just want to thank the leadership, but all of the men and women at the local level, the state level, and at the federal level for the work that's been going on. Everywhere that I went over the course of the full weekend, starting early Saturday morning, we saw local officials and state officials just getting it done. And that's what it's all about, ranging literally from our state police with our helicopter units moving into Tennessee and rescuing patients off of the roof of a flooding hospital, all the way through to our Department of Corrections and those men and women who are incarcerated, serving thousands and thousands of meals and helping clean up in an incredibly effective way. As I said, our VDOT team has been stretched, and they're doing a spectacular job. The Virginia National Guard teams executed some of the most heroic rescues, literally rappelling down into waterways and pulling people out of cars that otherwise would have been, sadly, more statistics. The team from the Virginia Department of Emergency Management has been just professionally deploying all over the region. And when I see with the work that particularly the local folks have been undertaking, tapping into these other resources from the Department of Forestry and others, the coordination has really been inspiring. I cannot highlight enough the leadership from our local folks, from sheriffs to police chiefs to emergency management coordinators to city managers to boards of supervisors and city council members, to all of the health representatives that are on the ground. It has been a massive movement of both passion and commitment, but also a real understanding of what their localities need. We are also starting the very important assessment stage of documenting all of the damage. That will take some time. And again, I appreciate the massive collaboration that we have with FEMA and, of course, our VDEM professionals in order to do that. That'll take time. But we are bringing resources to bear in an unprecedented way for Southwest Virginia. I heard over and over and over again, we've never seen anything like this. I've lived here for 70, 80 years. I've never seen anything like this. And that has been clear. It's been clear. It's an unprecedented amount of damage. And then finally, the nonprofit organizations have reacted in such a critical and amazingly supportive way. Church groups, the United Way, volunteer organizations flooding in and supporting, neighbors helping neighbors. We saw yesterday literally a storage container that had been picked up and mashed on top of someone's home, and all his neighbors were there helping them move it off. This is about Virginians helping Virginians, and it happens at the neighbor level, and it's happened at the nonprofit level. There are a lot of requests for where do we need to send money if we want to send money. The United Way, Southwest Virginia, is the best place. They're deployed lots of places. Of course, the Red Cross is working in the entire Southeast region, but to particularly support Southwest Virginia, the United Way Southwest is the best place. Finally, for people who need information immediately, and I know there's a lot of cell phones that aren't working, but 211 is the best number to call. And of course, if they can get to a website, then they can go to vaemergency.gov, vaemergency.gov, and there's an enormous amount of information there. The kinds of things that have been representative of just getting things done. In Damascus over the weekend, which was incredibly hard hit in Washington County, the teams worked hard overnight to get generators so we can get pharmacies open, to get pockets of power up, to bring in mobile cell phone towers so that we could, in fact, get some cell phone connection. They have set up both cell phone hubs and internet hubs for the locals to come, and so they can get access because the big network is not up there yet. We had the senior leadership from APCO and from AEP on the ground yesterday, assessing how we could accelerate even more in order to get power put up. This is the kind of stuff that is so necessary. So today there are now literally mobile laundry services that are in Damascus. There's shower services, there's restroom services. Folks can get a hot meal, and all of that got moved in yesterday at a rapid pace. And so again, I want to thank all the team members for making that work. Let me finish. We are still seeing a desperate need for support, and between local, state, and federal resources, we are working incredibly hard to get to everybody, not just because they may be in an emergency moment. We think we're through all of that. Almost most importantly now, what do they do next? What do they do next, and how do we make sure they've got a path to first being safe, and then afterwards, how do they in fact move forward with their lives, and how do we support them to do that? Again, I've been incredibly impressed with everybody in the system, and so thank you all, and I'm happy to take any questions. Hey, Dave.
past the kind of emergency thing with don't need to get fell down rivers to trust and rise, but we still have people who are, kind of real jam. As we think of this next step of kind of interim supports, what are sort of the key issues that you and the team here are seeing that the state, local government, does need to deliver?
Yeah, first is to make sure that there are people who are still stranded to know where they are. And the localities have been all over this in the last 48 hours. And then second, how do we get to them? During the day on Saturday, we still had swiftwater rescue teams that could get to people on Saturday they couldn't get to on Friday because of the level of water. We believe those kinds of emergencies have all been met. We still have people that are isolated on roads that haven't been cleared, and most of those roads are now turning into high priority moments because we've gotten the big thoroughfares that are cleared, although many of the big thoroughfares do have some damage. And then finally, to make sure that those people get access to shelters. We had tons of people that yesterday afternoon and evening needed to be moved to shelters. And these are shelters where they can get clothes and supplies, they can get a hot meal, they can get a shower, they can get access to telecommunications so they can call their family and friends. I know a lot of people want to stay where they are, but sometimes it's just not safe. And so the teams on the ground yesterday did a great job of supporting in a very care-driven way. Ma'am, sir, we need to move you someplace where you're safe. And so those are the big things that are on the agenda. Yes, sir. Hey.
Good to see you, Governor. Thanks for holding this. I understand dams were a big problem in other parts of where other storms have hit. How are we monitoring dams in Virginia? Are there dams of concern? Tell me something about water.
So we had our eyes on all the dams coming into the storm. And there were, particularly we had some of our hydro dams that were some concern because APCO had to evacuate the personnel who were monitoring those dams, and therefore they had to make statements about the fact that they were evacuating their personnel and didn't have eyes on the dam anymore. Those dams are safe and secure. The water levels have come down. There's not an issue with those dams being unsound. We do know that in some of the areas like Clear Lake, we're worried about what's in the water behind the dam. And we've had hazmat teams in the water pulling stuff out of the water, literally. So the combination of both our surface rescue teams with our hazmat teams are working to get as much stuff out of the water as we can. Propane tanks in the water, we got to get them out. I mean, there's floating cars, there's all kinds of stuff. And so that's an issue as well. But as far as the major dam structures coming into today, we feel pretty good about all of them and are continuing to monitor. Good question, thank you. I'm going to go back here first, if that's okay.
Hi, Governor Youngkin, nice to meet you. You mentioned the documenting process and kind of assessing that damage right now. You mentioned that's going to take some time. Any sort of estimation on how long that's going to take and what happens after that process?
Yeah, so really an important aspect of this is we are filing today for an expedited major declaration. And we will work with FEMA and the White House in order to get that. That puts us very quickly in the support mode, and then we begin to fill out all the very specific paperwork, and that's really important. And if I could, I'd just like to ask my new best friend from FEMA if he would just comment on that process a little bit.
Yeah. Thank you, Governor. My name's Tim File. I'm the Federal Coordinating Officer. Right now, we've got an emergency declaration that allows us to bring direct federal assistance to Virginia. We are working very collaboratively with the state of Virginia in developing an expedited major disaster declaration for Virginia. That will start the flow of assets, people, and resources to Virginia to start addressing the needs of the survivors of this disaster. Okay, we'll both address that. We're going to try to address the infrastructure as well as the survivors and the individuals out there responsible. It's a process. We'll start that process today, and as that process comes, we'll start seeing a lot more of our resources in the community helping the survivors. We're very much working collaboratively with the governor and do our best.
Do you have an idea of what the ask might be, what amount you might be asking for or need? Or?
Governor, I don't.
It's going to be big. We're clearly through all the thresholds, and so we've got one. But I can't begin to estimate. And aggregating the personal loss, the business losses. We toured businesses yesterday that I don't know when they're going to open again, and they've got big damage to their facilities. We've seen roads out and bridges out, and we had local offices that were flooded, law enforcement offices that were flooded, and all of that has got to be assessed. So it's a lot.
Good, Jake, right here.
That rain, we're worried about stormwater. Is there something that people who are still in that part of Virginia need to know if they've managed so far that rain's coming?
Yeah, so we have started again with yesterday as we were moving around the region, making sure everybody understood that the weather was at least forecasted to include more rain this week. And most importantly, what they need to know is they need to get to a safe place. And they need to understand that particularly the New River Valley is still angry. The river is angry and full. And more rain is only going to make that worse. And so we've got to get the folks, particularly along the New River Valley, and as you work through Washington County, and then Grayson County, and then move up into Witt County, particularly, and Pulaski County. You've got, and then all the way up into Radford yesterday. The whole stretch up the New River Valley has got real risk associated with it. So we're asking people to go safe places, make sure if you need shelters, we've got them, and we understand that people are hesitant to leave their stuff. We've got to get people into safe places for the rest of the week. Again, the big storm prospect that everybody is paying attention to that hasn't quite formed yet into a projected storm for the region. We're all paying attention to. We've got rain this week. I wish the rain would go away. We prayed over it all day yesterday. We just need sunshine here.
We got time for one more right here.
Governor, we obviously know the devastation we've seen in Carolina and Tennessee, and obviously it's horrible there. Not to disaster compare, of course, but this is devastating here too. Do you have a story or a moment from your tours yesterday that kind of speaks to what these people in Southwest are going through right now?
Well, I have a number of them, and I hate to only highlight a couple, but let me just share a little bit with you. So in Damascus, we had a chance to see folks who literally had sadly lost everything. And yet the local subway had decided that they were going to lose all of their inventory. And the manager of the subway brought his gas grill from home, was putting it in the parking lot of the subway, and literally was going to cook and prepare food for people all day based on the stuff they had in the local subway that was right there. But that's a heroic moment of somebody doing everything they can. We met families right outside of Independence in Grayson County, and these are hardworking farmers, and they had literally seen their entire hay crop ruined. They had seen their entire organic berry farm completely ruined. And yet they were more worried about their neighbors. And how do we get to their neighbors because the roads are still blocked? That's what they were worried about. One of the gentlemen there had already prepared a video that was a video about the horrific storm damage, but it ended with hope, with the American flag and rescue workers and one of our Black Hawk helicopters up and down the New River. So at a moment where I was constantly aware of the tragedy of this moment, it is the grit and the determination of Virginians that I am inspired by, that rally to do what's necessary in order to help their neighbor and to bring the resources that they need. I just was truly brought to my knees yesterday afternoon when we literally saw families whose homes had been washed away, and because they had nothing, they were just coming to help people that still had a chance to get back into their homes. That's what Virginia's all about. Our hearts are broken for what we're also seeing in Tennessee and North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. This is a big storm, and we all knew it. We do fully expect that over the course of the next 24 hours, we'll be answering some real requests from many of the other states as we're able to free up resources and move them, particularly on search and rescue. It's one of the toughest things that I know that people are dealing with, and that's why we feel blessed that we think we've got just about everybody accounted for, and we can take some of those teams and move them to help in particularly North Carolina.
Thank you all so much.
Are there any other federal resources that you guys are keeping an eye on, you guys have lost touch with? Are you guys able, is there federal resource concern here as well?
At this time, we have not lost any contact with the additional federal resources in the area. Virginia's a supporter of the military. There's a lot of military installations here. Our defense coordinating element is in touch with both organizations. So far, there's no major.
Thank you all so much.